So what if I told you a story? I had a dream, and in this dream, I was walking down an old stone British street. It was a foggy British kind of day, and I was walking from the southeast. No, I was walking from the northeast to the southwest. And on my right-hand side was the buildings, and the street was on the left, and there were no cars. It was just pedestrians. I was walking. And I walked to a building that looked like a law firm or a psychiatry office, something like that. And it had a darker interior, and the walls were lined with books from the floor to the ceiling. And there was a little counter. When you went back past the counter, there was a beam that you walked under. It was high enough you didn't have to duck, but it separated the rooms. And in the back room was a coffee table and a seating area, and books lined the walls. And on one of the walls in the bookcase, there was an egg. And the egg was a little bit larger than a chicken egg. And from that egg projected a woman. And she was dressed in a purpley pink gown, and she glowed. And she was like a hologram or a fairy. And when I think of her, my mind remembers the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz. She was lean and young, but not too young. And I remember I spoke to her, and I felt happy. And then I left. And as it is with dreams sometimes, though I was gone, my mind knew what was happening there in that odd little office. And in my mind's eye, two Vulcans in everyday clothes walked in, and they walked past the little counter, and they picked up the egg, and with the heat of their hands, they began to boil the egg. And the woman that had projected from it looked at them and said, "I'll die." And they looked at her, and without emotion, as is appropriate for a Vulcan, they said, "You are not alive." And they boiled the egg, and she was gone. And I was sad. And I went and I bought 2 lattes, and they were warm in my hands. And I walked to that little shop, and I opened the door, and the clerk stood behind the counter, and I said to him, "I know she was not alive, and I know if she was here she couldn't drink this, but I brought it." And I left 1 latte on the counter, and I left with the other. And I remember I was sad. And that's one little dream that I had.